Defamation Case Study, Melinda Lopez, Public Relations Masters of Arts at Full Sail University. Part 1, New York Times v. Sullivan. The petitioner was the New York Times. The respondent was L.B. Sullivan. The New York Times published an advertisement about Martin Luther King Jr.'s involvement in the civil rights movement and law enforcement's response. L.B. Sullivan, City Commissioner of Montgomery, filed a dispute due to libel against the New York Times and the endorsers of the advertisement. The initial case concluded in Sullivan's honor, granting Sullivan $500,000. The New York Times appealed to the state Supreme Court, which affirmed the previous ruling. The Times appealed again to the United States Supreme Court. This is the appeal that we are studying today. Why did Sullivan feel his reputation was damaged by the New York Times publication? Sullivan, as the city commissioner, claimed that the readers of the Times would blame Sullivan as he had direct supervision of the Montgomery Police Department. He claimed that it would defame him as a public official. What are the key elements of a defamation claim? Since Sullivan was a public official, what did he have to prove in this particular case? The key elements of a defamation claim are a falsehood relating to official conduct that is proven to be made with actual malice. Sullivan had to prove that the New York Times knew of false statements made in the advertisement and intended to defame him with malice. What was the U.S. Supreme Court's decision, and why did it make that decision? The U.S. Supreme Court reversed the previous ruling, claiming that the rule of law in the Alabama court was constitutionally deficient. In other words, the U.S. Supreme Court claimed that the previous ruling against the New York Times violated both the First Amendment, which claims freedom of speech and of the press, and the 14th Amendment, the equal protection of the laws. Part 2, Gertz versus Welch. The petitioner is Gertz, who is a private person, and the respondent is Welch, the owner and operator of a public magazine. What were the alleged defamatory statements about Gertz in the American Opinion article? The article alleged that Gertz was a part of a communist conspiracy with intent to discredit the local police. In addition, the article falsely implied a criminal record. What was done to confirm the accuracy of these allegations against Gertz? Nothing was done to confirm the accuracy of the allegations, as the magazine was privately owned and operated by Welch. How do you think these allegations affected Gertz's reputation? As Gertz was a defense attorney along with the time period this took place in the mid-70s, these allegations made a huge impact on Gertz's social and professional life. What would you have done differently than Welch to avoid the lawsuit? I would not have written the article at all, but I would have done some research prior to even drafting this article. In addition, I would also communicate with the subject, whether by interview or just to have proof of attempted contact. What is your state's defamation law? In Georgia, the elements of a defamation claim are a false statement about the plaintiff, communication of the false statement to a third party in the absence of a privilege to do so, fault of the defendant amounting to at least negligence claimed in that false statement, and harm to the plaintiff unless the statement amounts to per se defamation. How can you relate what you learned from Sullivan and Gertz's cases to your future work in the communications industry? As a professional in the communications industry, I have a direct responsibility to the public to provide and disperse information with accuracy and unbiased intent. These cases will help me in the future work in this industry as I keep myself in check on researching claims for accuracy before publishing. Thank you.